The Five Love Languages. How to express heartfelt commitment to your mate by Gary Chapman. Chapter-6, Part-2. There is an intangible gift that sometimes speaks more loudly than a gift that can be held in one's hand. I call it the gift of self or the gift of presence. Being there when your spouse needs you speaks loudly to the one whose primary love language is receiving gifts. Sonia once said to me, "My husband loves softball more than he loves me." "Why do you say that?" I inquired. On the day our baby was born, he played softball. I was lying in the hospital all afternoon while he played softball, she said. Was he there when the baby was born? He stayed long enough for the baby to be born, but 10 minutes afterward, he left. It was awful. It was such an important moment in our lives. I wanted us to share it together. I wanted us to share it together. I wanted Tony to be there with me. That baby was now 15 years old, and Sonia was talking about the event with all the emotion as though it had happened yesterday. I probed further. Have you based your conclusion that Tony loves softball more than he loves you on this one experience? No, she said. On the day of my mother's funeral, he also played softball. Did he go to the funeral? Yes, he did. He went to the funeral, but as soon as it was over, he left to get to his game. I couldn't believe it. My brothers and sisters came to the house with me, but my husband was playing softball. Later, I asked Tony about those two events. He knew exactly what I was talking about. I knew she would bring that up, he said. I was there through all the labor, and when the baby was born, I took pictures. I was so happy. I couldn't wait to tell the guys on the team, but my bubble was burst when I got back to the hospital that evening. She was furious with me. I couldn't believe what she was saying. I thought she would be proud of me for telling the team. And when her mother died, she probably didn't tell you that I took off work a week before she died and spent the whole week at the hospital and at her mother's house doing repairs and helping out. After she died and the funeral was over, I felt I had done all I could do. I needed a breather. I liked to play softball, and I knew that it would help me relax and relieve some of the stress I had been under. I thought she would want me to take a break. I had done what I thought was important to her, but it wasn't enough. She has never let me forget those 2 days. She says that I love softball more than I love her. That's ridiculous. He was a sincere husband who failed to understand the tremendous power of presence. His being there for his wife was more important than anything else in her mind. Physical presence in the time of crisis is the most powerful gift you can give if your spouse's primary love language is receiving gifts. Your body becomes a symbol of your love. Remove the symbol and the sense of love evaporates. In counseling, Tony and Sonia worked through the hurts and misunderstandings of the past. Eventually, Sonia was able to forgive him, and Tony came to understand why his presence was so important to her. If the physical presence of your spouse is important to you, I urge you to verbalize that to your spouse. Don't expect him to read your mind. If, on the other hand, your spouse says to you, I'd love for you to come with me tomorrow, take his request seriously. From your perspective, it may not be important, but if you are not responsive to that request, you may be communicating a message you do not intend. A husband once said, when my mother died, my wife's supervisor said that she could be off 2 hours for the funeral, but she needed to be back in the office for the afternoon. My wife told him that she felt her husband needed her support that day and she would have to be away the entire day. The supervisor replied, if you are gone all day, you may well lose your job. My wife said, my husband is more important than my job. She spent the day with me. Somehow that day, I felt more loved by her than ever before. I have never forgotten what she did. Incidentally, she didn't lose her job. Her supervisor soon left and she was asked to take his job. That wife had spoken the love language of her husband and he never forgot it. Miracle in Chicago. Almost everything ever written on the subject of love indicates that at the heart of love is the spirit of giving. All 5 love languages challenge us to give to our spouse, but for some, receiving gifts, visible symbols of love, speaks the loudest. I heard the most graphic illustration of that truth in Chicago, where I met Doug and Kate. They attended my marriage seminar and agreed to take me to O'Hare Airport after the seminar on Saturday afternoon. We had 2 or 3 hours before my flight, and they asked if I would like to stop at a restaurant. I was famished, so I readily assented. Kate began talking almost immediately after we sat down. She said, Dr. Chapman, God used you to perform a miracle in our marriage. 3 years ago, we attended your marriage seminar here in Chicago for the first time. I was desperate, she said. I was thinking seriously of leaving Dog and had told him so. Our marriage had been empty for a long time. I had given up. For years, I'd complained to Dog that I needed his love, but he never responded. I loved the children and I knew they loved me, but I felt nothing coming from Dog. In fact, by that time, I hated him. He was a methodical person. He did everything by routine. He was as predictable as a clock, and no one could break into his routine. For years, she continued, I tried to be a good wife. I did all the things I thought a good wife should do. I had sex with him because I knew that was important to him, but I felt no love coming from him. I felt like he stopped dating me after we got married and simply took me for granted. I felt used and unappreciated. When I talked to Dog about my feelings, he'd laugh at me and say, we had as good a marriage as anybody else in the community. He didn't understand why I was so unhappy. He would remind me that the bills were paid, that we had a nice house and a new car, that I was free to work or not work outside the home. and that I should be happy instead of complaining all the time. He didn't even try to understand my feelings. I felt totally rejected. Well, anyway, she said, as she moved her tea and leaned forward, we came to your seminar 3 years ago. I did not know what to expect. And frankly, I didn't expect much. I didn't think anybody could change dog. During and after the seminar, he didn't say too much. He seemed to like it. Then, that Monday afternoon, he came home from work and gave me a rose. Where did you get that? I asked. I bought it from a street vendor, he said. I thought you deserved a rose. I started crying. Oh, dog, that is so sweet of you. On Tuesday, he texted me from the office at about 1:30 and asked me what I thought about his picking up a pizza for dinner. That may not sound like a big deal to most people, but dog never does anything like that. I told him I thought the idea was wonderful. And so he brought home a pizza, and we all had a fun time together. I gave him a hug and told him how much I enjoyed it. When he came home on Wednesday, he brought each of the kids a box of Cracker Jacks and he had a small potted plant for me. He said he knew the rose would die, but he thought I might like something that would be around for a while. I was beginning to think I was hallucinating. I couldn't believe that dog was doing or why he was doing it. Thursday night, after dinner, he handed me a card with a message about his not always being able to express his love to me, but hoping that the card would communicate how much he cared. Why don't we get a babysitter on Saturday night and the two of us go out for dinner? He suggested. That would be great, I said. On Friday afternoon, he stopped by the cookie shop and brought each of us one of our favorite cookies. Again, he kept it as a surprise, telling us only that he had a treat for dessert. By Saturday night, she said, I was in orbit. I had no idea what had come over dog or if it would last. But I was enjoying every minute of it. After our dinner at the restaurant, I said to him, Dog, you have to tell me what's happening. I don't understand. She looked at me intently. Dr. Chapman, this was a man who never gave me a gift, ever. He never gave me a card for any occasion. He always said, it's a waste of money. You look at the card and throw it away. He never bought the children anything and expected me to buy only the essentials. He expected me to have dinner ready every night. I mean, this was a radical change in his behavior. I turned to Dog and asked, what did you say to her in the restaurant when she asked you what was going on? I told her I had listened to your lecture on love languages at the seminar and realized that her love language was gifts. I also realized I had not given her a gift in years, maybe not since we had been married. I remembered when we were dating, I used to bring her flowers and other small gifts, but after marriage, I figured we couldn't afford that. I told her I had decided I was going to try to get her a gift every day for 1 week and see if it made any difference in her. I had to admit I had seen a pretty big difference in her attitude during the week. I told her I realized that what you said was really true, and that learning the right love language was the key to helping another person feel loved. I said I was sorry I had been so dense for all those years and had failed to meet her need for love. I told her I really loved her and that I appreciated all the things she did it for me and the kids. I told her that with God's help, I was going to be a gift giver for the rest of my life. She said, "But, Dog, you can't go on buying me gifts every day for the rest of your life. We can't afford that." "Well, maybe not every day," I said, "but at least once a week. That would be 52 more gifts per year than what you have received in the past 5 years. I don't think he has missed a single week in 3 years," Kate said. "He is like a new man. You wouldn't believe how happy we have been. Our children call us lovebirds now. My tank is full and overflowing." I looked at Dow. "But what about you, Dow? Do you feel loved by Kate?" "Oh, I have always felt loved by her, Dr. Chapman. She does so much to help me and the kids. She takes care of the finances, knows where we all have to be when stays in touch with my family on Facebook. I know she loves me." He smiled and said, "Now you know what my love language is, don't you?" I did, and I also knew why Kate had used the word miracle. Gifts need not be expensive, nor must they be given weekly, but for some individuals, their worth has nothing to do with monetary value and everything to do with love. Now it's your turn. Reflect on ways to give gifts even if finances are tight.